It is almost like, definitely, if you saw Theo Farge at the supermarket with his mask on, you'd have no idea who he was.
If I saw him without his mask on, I wouldn't know who he was. I mean, my sister does laugh the fact that I heard an interview with him. This is going back quite a lot of years. And I was surprised he was French.
I mean, it's fair.
So all in all, I don't think I really know much about Theo Farge.
No. Well, you're
that was
learning.
when he was playing at Salford.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to a team that you do know lots about, and that is Hull FC, who were in the fourth game of this weekend on Sunday evening against Huddersfield Giants. So obviously Hull have come into this off an extended break due to the coronavirus outbreak at the club, so they hadn't played for 3 weeks. Long time. But it didn't seem to bother them.
We played against Salford, did we?
Yeah, well, yeah, good point. You haven't played in 6 months, arguably 7.
I think we played a game at Headingley sometime early this year. I think that.
Basically 2nd of February to 31st of August.
I don't think there's been any games since that, really.
No, but you certainly played in this one, definitely in the first half. It was 28-6 at half-time. The game was done and dusted there. Hull FC finished out 31-12 winners. Chris Kendall was the referee. Do you want to take us through the stats and revel in them?
Yeah. So, 488 more metres. 488 more metres from 60 more carries and a 7.5% better team tackle success rate. It's 7.5. I don't think we ever tackle more, do we?
No, you certainly don't. You're never in the mid-90s against a team that's in the mid to high 80s, and that's what happened in this game.
Yeah. So that underlines our dominance in this game. There were 7 more breaks and 7 fewer handling errors. Suggests we could have maybe won by even more, but, we didn't, and that's okay. So for Hull, the standout players, Manu Mao with 160 metres, 2 clean breaks. Baressa Farema with 8 tackle busts and 152 metres. Albert Kelly with 1 try assist, 10 tackle busts, 146 metres, 2 clean breaks and 4 offloads. Not bad for a free signing. Carlos Tumivavi with 6 tackle busts, 144 metres and 3 offloads. And for the losers, Huddersfield, Jermaine McGilvray with 123 metres, Jordan Turner with 1 try, 104 metres and 2 clean breaks, Darnell McIntosh with 1 try assist, 118 metres, and Kenny Edwards with 107 metres.
Yeah, the first fan review comes from the Huddersfield side of things, and then we'll get the whole perspective. Mark W. said, after 2 consecutive games decided by dodgy tries, it was refreshing to see the boys take to the field and lose on their own terms. We could have won it with one of Holmes or Russell supporting Gaskell or Caesar, but Holmes and Russell together just don't have what it takes to take charge, unfortunately. If we get a starting halfback, we have every chance on Friday, but we need to start winning soon.
Steve Pye said, a far better performance from FC with a good attitude and commitment, which has been severely lacking previously. Some very good performances from the young forwards Fash, Brown, Cater and Johnston. Interesting to see what Last does for next week. Stick with the players who performed or bring back the so-called big names for what is a vitally important game.
Page said, when I saw the team sheet and looked how Huddersfield had been performing, I was expecting a nightmare, but credit to the young kids, provided the energy and passion needed. Great performance from the boys. Best thing Andy Last did was benching Houghton. Johnston had a great game. Hoping Snide's injury isn't too bad.
Tom Andrews said, turns out all you need to produce a Hull win is a dose of a deadly international virus. Mind you, Huddersfield made them look good. Referee had a game to forget for both sides with questionable calls and non-calls for forward passes. He also seemed to feel so sorry for McIntosh that he sin-binned Mullet Man. Paige is confident her Manchester hotel booking won't be going to waste now.
And Joshua's granddad said, after seeing how the 2-week layoff affected Salford and previous form, I feared the worst, but fantastic opening 20 minutes laid the platform for a much needed win. Defended tough with enthusiasm in the second half. Wrapped up the cheeky drop goal by Shaw. Monster hit by Fanua wrongly penalised. Cater ban a joke as technique has been taught for it. A year, take the body and slide down the legs, no pressure to the knee. 2 weeks later, Huddersfield won 3-1 at home. Huddersfield were 2 points behind Salford, 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 2 points behind I mean, let's get that stuff out of the way, and then we'll talk about the positive, exciting stuff. I think is the way round to do it on this one. So disciplinary. Jack Brown got a caution for dangerous contact. Joe Cater got the Grade B charge, a 1-game ban for the dangerous contact. I can't remember the incident hugely specifically, and I know your dad will remember it more specifically than I am because he'll have gone back and watched it again when he found out there was a ban. But
the problem is they gave the wrong time for the ban. For the incident. So initially it was when him and English shoved each other.
Right.
Which it clearly, like,
yeah,
you can't give Cater a ban for pushing English and not do anything about English. But I don't know what he's there for, what the correct thing was.
It was a dangerous contact charge for effectively a third man in tackle, is my understanding, which is something that they've been trying to step up on. So I think there's maybe a twist of a leg or something involved in it. So I can't remember the specifics of it, but it seems like that sort of an incident, which there's potential for injury and those kind of things. So I don't mind bans being given for those. Suia Matungi got a Grade C dangerous contact charge, which gave him a 2-match ban, but then he also got a caution for dangerous contact. We talked about that a bit before. I just don't understand it. I mean, I'm guessing, I haven't gone back to watch these incidents at all, but I'm guessing the second incident was much more minor in nature, but it was on the same player a minute later than the one that he's been charged for. It just feels like something different needs to be attached to that second one. Jordan Johnston also got a caution for dangerous contact. I have an issue with the fact that with these cautions. My issue with cautions is if you're giving someone a caution, that should be taken into consideration when they get a charge, in my opinion. I think...
Like it used to be like with the EGP that, if you plead guilty, you get it knocked down, but you can only use that once, can't you? And to me, if you get a caution, like the next time you should get a charge.
Yeah, I think, well, now what you get is you basically automatically get the lowest end of the ban if you... And so you don't even have to face the charge to get the lowest end of the ban. If you've not been charged with an offence like it before in the last 12 months. But I think what that scheme is all missing is the cautions are being missed, aren't they? And if someone's getting cautioned repeatedly for the same types of offences, and I'm not saying Jack Brown and Jordan Johnson have been repeatedly cautioned because they never play normally, but they will be playing now. But yeah, I just think it needs to be brought into play. I don't think people can get a minimum end of range ban if they've had a caution for the same offence within the last, I don't know, maybe you don't make it 12 months, you make it 6 months or something, but the cautions are a waste of fucking time otherwise.
Yeah, you might as well just not bother with them, really.
Exactly. They didn't even report them this week, did they? All they reported this week was the 3 bans. Not all the Grade A charges and all the cautions, which...
Yeah, because when it came up with the disciplinary, I was like, oh, there's only been 3 disciplinary issues in the weekend.
Yeah. Anyway, something that was deemed as sin bin sufficient from the match was the hit by Fanua. Your dad has a different view on it to the match official had on it, so I don't know. Often in masses of Hull FC, you do seem the same, see things the same way. So what do you think of the Fanua sin bin in for the shoulder charge that was it on Darnell McIntosh or was it on Joe Wardle? I can't remember.
It was McIntosh, wasn't it?
Right, okay. Yeah, it was on Darnell, yeah.
I think that the reason he got sent to the sin bin was because Sky kept showing the incident repeatedly, and therefore the video ref watched it a lot of times and then had an opinion, because initially it didn't seem to be anything.
It tends to happen when players get knocked out, isn't it? But
he wasn't knocked out though, was he?
Well, he must have been down for long enough for the video referee to have seen it. If the video referee is the person who you're saying gave the decision, he must have been down long enough for the video referee to get looks at it.
It was because his teeth were bleeding.
Yeah, all right, okay.
But I think that the issue with his teeth were actually because his face collided with Fanua's head as he bounced back. It was like
Right.
So I don't think there was any contact made with his head from like in an illegal fashion.
No, I think if there had have been, it would have been a red card because it would have been a shoulder charge to the head.
Yeah, and if it was a head thing, then surely he should have gone off for an HIA.
Yeah, so I don't think, but that would be a red card if it was a shoulder charge to the head. A shoulder charge that's not got the high contact element. With that level of ferocity behind it, I don't have a problem with a.
But I didn't know. I thought he had his arm raised.
My impression of it was that Fanua's left arm wasn't involved in the tackle at all, which was the arm on the shoulder where he hit him with, and his right arm only came out as a result of the impact, kind of making his arm flail a bit. To me, it didn't look like he made any legitimate attempt to make a tackle. There was an earlier one, wasn't there, on Ashton Golding, that actually Ashton Golding did go off for a head check because his neck proper snapped in it in the tackle. But on that one, the whole player Nulongo, weren't it, who also went off because of the impact of the collision, because it was so forceful. He did wrap up. It was just such a big impact that everyone got hurt, which is a shame, and that's part of the physicality of our sport. I do think, personally, I think it was a very aggressive shoulder charge. So Simbin, even though there was no head contact, was fine. But yeah, I appreciate you've seen it different, which is fine.
The other difficulty is I don't think that the camera angle quite caught up with it. So
yeah, because it was so fast.
Yeah, so it was borderline off camera anyway.
Yeah, and we didn't get an angle from the other side, I suppose, which might have shown us a bit more about the nature of the contact too, which maybe is why, obviously, it's all been deemed insufficient, fine and fair after the event. I suppose
my brother did say that at the end of the match they showed an alternative view, which showed that the arm was raised.
Right, it just seemed to me that it was shouldery, but yeah, fair enough. Well, it didn't affect the outcome, did it? Which is is significant. One thing I would say is, taking nothing away from Hull FC deserving to win this game absolutely massively, but someone mentioned the refereeing in this one. I do feel Chris Kendall was a little bit inconsistent on the six agains in this one. I do think Hull dominated the kind of penalty count and six agains a bit. Yeah, and I don't think that what they were doing what Huddersfield were doing at the play of the ball was necessarily fundamentally that hugely different throughout the game to what Hull FC were doing. So that I did notice that a bit, but whenever Hull FC did play the ball quick and get a move on and stuff, the energy and enthusiasm that your team played with in this game, especially in the opening of this game, was outstanding, and you must have absolutely loved seeing that from this side for the first time in God knows how long.
Definitely. I mean, I struggle with the whole six again thing, because I still feel like I'm not 100% certain at what point a six again is going to be given rather than not given.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I said at the time that we needed to crack on and score some points, because Kendall was definitely giving us more than he was giving Huddersfield at that point. And
you did score points. It was 22-0 after half an hour.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, I mean, Kelly's try was a lovely try, you know. He took on the line well, didn't he, and scored.
Yeah, he showed all the desire that, you know, you occasionally see from him in McDonald's.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, you know, generally there was a period before we scored that try that, you know, we were passing the ball. We were, you know, the offloads were looking good. I was a bit worried because I think we had a six again, and I felt like, you know, we had all this possession and position and were we going to score? But thankfully, although we didn't score at that point, it didn't cost us.
Yeah, because the first 10 minutes, the amount of passes from both sides that missed the mark in attack felt like this was going to be a really scrappy game, but then Kelly took charge.
Yeah. And I think, like Manu Mao, I thought he had a very good game. And Carlos showed his flexibility, the fact that he can be moved around at will.
Yeah, because he played in the halves for a bit and then went back to his centre position, didn't he? And Houghton ended up playing in the halves.
I think at one point he was even on the wing, Carlos. I don't know whether that was maybe when Fanua was off.
Right, yeah, good point. Yeah, he will have been at that stage, wouldn't he?
And that was the point that he completely sort of I don't mean went missing because he was still involved, but, you just didn't see him doing stuff.
Yeah.